Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk once again about the importance of having a detailed project before starting a renovation. If you are new to these channels, I welcome you. I'm Virginie, interior designer, and I deal with houses that represent 100% who has to live them from consultancy to the entire renovation process. I also help foreigners who want to buy and renovate in Italy to support them all the process long, difficult otherwise to follow from a distance. In these channels, I will talk about home and renovation, trying to give you helpful tips so that you can have your dream house, a house that represents you genuinely and where you always feel at your ease. Before we get started, if you love everything related to the topic of the home and renovation, remember to subscribe to my channel for more information on this subject. I'm still here to talk to you about the importance of a detailed project before starting a home renovation. The fact is that I want you to have a home that will satisfy you 200% and not end up saying, I'm happy, but knowing it before, I would have done it differently. And if you don't focus on the project first, you'll likely come to think this. And believe me, I'm saying this because I saw it happen. What can happen so bad if the project is limited on the definitions of the spaces? At best, you will have delays and increased cost on the budgeted. But most likely, you will have a house that is not entirely functional, with things missing or not well done. A home should be the space where you feel good and at ease, to be able to relax and recharge your batteries. But if there is something that is not exactly how you wanted, the risk is that you will always notice it and it will bother you. If a house is well made in all its parts, you almost don't notice it. You move inside it fluently and you feel satisfied. If, on the other hand, there is something that is not really sewn on you or what has been done haphazardly, it will always fall under your eyes. Do you know when you have a pebble in your shoe, you are always there thinking about it and looking for ways to remove it. The thought is there and doesn't go away until you can eliminate the pebble. But if you don't have this pebble, surely you don't think, great, I don't have a pebble in my shoe. You only walk naturally. The same goes for your home. Now the pebble in the shoe can be removed easily and then you can walk quietly. But in your house, once finished, can you make changes? Now let's see it starting from the beginning. You go to your trusted surveyor or architect and you study with him a project with the distribution of the space, nothing else. Then you go to the constructor to ask him an estimate. What's going to happen now? How can the constructor do this? The constructor will surely be able to calculate the time and materials he needs to demolish some walls and to build others. But for the rest, for finishes and materials, or tracks for plumber and electrician, so he will estimate the costs more or less based on experience, putting you a medium-high prices for materials and finishes. He presents you the estimates. Let's assume that the price is right for you. You sign the contract and you start the works. On materials and finishes, I do not dwell too much. We have already seen that you will not have too much choice because they are certainly not suppliers and therefore they don't have many examples in stock. We have also seen that you will have no idea of the real value of what they put you at home. You will pay them as first choice, but they could actually be stocked residues. And I don't think it's what you want. I explain everything in this video. As for the various systems, if you don't say anything, you will have a quote based on the traditional systems. For example, about heating. Without instructions, you will have an estimate for a system with radiators. But if at some point you think that floor system could be better, what will happen? You will tell it to your technician, who will notify the constructor. Where is the problem? If you are at the very beginning of the works, they will send you the new estimate, likely increased, because it's a process that requires different materials and labor, and you will only be able to accept it unless you give up and the bills rises. But if the constructor is ready to start laying the budgeted plan, in addition to the increased price, you will have a work delay. In fact, they will have to stop to get you the new estimate and wait that you accept it. And in the case, they will order the correct materials, and maybe they also have to redo something for the new system. Now, this applies to any small or big change that you might ask for during renovation. Not only, if the change you ask changes the initial project, you will have to pay the surveyor or the architect, who will have to bring specific documentation to communicate each correction to the municipality. Furthermore, any request that is an addition or a modification made during renovation risks not being correctly studied. I'm giving you a concrete example that happened to some clients. In one part of the farmhouse, the floor was lower than the others and had dug into the ground. Bringing the floor to the other's level created a sort of cellar, absolutely not livable because of the low height, but the customer required to put a trapdoor to allow him to put something there. Said and done, it was not a complicated thing. It didn't bring delays and maybe even no price increase. But, said at the last minute, no one thought about aeration. Now this space is almost unusable because it is really too damp. Sometimes the floor is really wet. This is absolutely a bother. Now that the house is over, they should break some parts to fix it. And it's not even sure that they can do the job properly. If they had studied it before, surely they would have found a proper solution. Then, depending on the price, the client could have chosen whether to do it or not, but the decision would have been fully aware. But above all, the work would have been done well and would have been functional. Now the client has a trapdoor on the floor, but he doesn't need it. And he certainly sees it every time it passes by. Do you understand why I'm so insistent in telling that it is crucial to dedicate yourself to the project? And another thing, you can use this idea of a super detailed project to understand if the technician you are choosing is the right one for you. In fact, at the time of a first interview, you can ask him if he does it, or at least if he is available to do so. If it's his practice to do a really detailed project before starting works, or he willingly accepts to do it, he could be the right person for you. But if he was to say that you don't need it, that it's better to start immediately and then calmly see the various things, well, let me tell you to run like a hell. Don't risk arriving at the end of your renovation exhausted due to the delays and increased costs, and above all, with a home not totally functional. If you loved the video, let me know it with a like and a comment. Remember to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell to not miss the upcoming contents. See you soon. Bye.